Hello, welcome to this very special edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at the famous Minton's Playhouse here in Harlem, New York. As you know, the history of this idiom of jazz, Minton's Playhouse was the beginning and the birth and the epicenter of bebop. Legendary musicians like Miles Davis, Thelonious Monk, Kenny Clark, as well as Dizzy Gillespie blessed the band stage here and created an art form that transcended both American art and went global. Tonight here on the Pace Report, I had an honor to sit down with a luminary of jazz, the great Benny Golson. As you know, Benny Golson is a prolific composer as well as saxophonist and NEA jazz master and icon of this idiom. I had a chance briefly to sit down and talk to him about his first time coming to Minton's, as well as reflect on his time here in Harlem as a musician and what Minton's Playhouse means to the world of jazz. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my brief interview with NEA jazz master and legend, Mr. Benny Golson, live from Minton's Playhouse here in Harlem, New York, as part of the Pace Report. We are here at the epicenter of where bebop began. I saw you earlier taking pictures before the event started. Give me some reflections of your first time coming here.
First time I came here, I was 11 years old because my uncle was a bartender here. So I was here when Thelonious Monk was playing stride piano. That's how long ago it was. And I wasn't quite sure what was going on because I wasn't really into it. And all the great luminaries were here. I didn't know who they were. You know, Dizzy Gillespie and Thelonious Monk and some of the other names that faded away now. Yeah, I would come and spend the summer, a week or so out of the summer with my uncle while he was a bartender here. And he would introduce me to people, Sugar Ray Robinson and people like that would come in. It was all exciting to me, but I didn't really understand how deep it was and what it would be. Of course, we can't see into the future. But when I was taking those pictures, I was reflecting on all those years ago when I was sitting right out there on that side. I took a picture of where I was sitting, listening to these guys play. It's like a miracle. It survived. And it's famous. It's iconic, all the things that happened. And this was a place, like you said, epicenter. And it was. It was. Many things grew out of this.
Benny, by way of Philadelphia, which you came from, coming to Minton's the first time you played here, do you recall who you played with and some of the things that were going on musically here?
I actually played here years later. I was a professional by then, of course. And the only name I remember was a tenor player, and he was in charge of the jam sessions, I guess. He was a tenor player. His name was Musa Kaleem, and he was so nice to me. And he could play. He had such a way of playing. And then by then there were some of my contemporaries, Walter Davis Jr., who would sit sideways with his legs crossed and play the piano. But individuals, I don't remember individuals, but this is quite a few years ago. Even that's a few years ago. We're talking that maybe 50 years ago, you know. No, but by then I knew what Minton's was. I knew that it was a famous place where a lot of musical things happened, and they did right here. It represented what jazz was all about, you know, this place.
You know, Thelonious Monk was the house pianist here. There's a lot of stories about Monk. What made Minton's the epicenter, and how did it ferment from here to Smalls and then eventually overseas? Because music is the international language, but jazz, especially in the 40s, was a very different period for the music.
What made it so different was it was collaboration of all these musical icons, or those who would be that way. And they had the beginning here during that era. And some of them came back later when there were bona fide luminaries and played too. So they were giving back what they had gotten. And it continued on like that. It was a place where this music that we lovingly call jazz could develop. Because when you come to a place when you're jamming like that, you're comparing things. And what John doesn't know, you pick up from him. And what you don't know, he picks up from you. And it's like when you take two knives and do that, they both get sharp. And in that sense, that's what was happening. We were learning from each other many times when we came together to play. And so this was the place to be. Minton's. I sat in at Minton's. What? That kind of thing, you know.
Benny, Harlem has been really another crux of black culture, and you to be part of it. This is what's it like coming back here some 60 years and seeing where Harlem has gone and where it came?
It's like watching a dream come true because many things develop out of this. And eventually when I moved to New York, I was right around the corner, Graham Court, 116th and 7th Avenue, right around. I could hold my breath and walk around here. But it had lost then some of the glory that it had when it was really high peaked. And I thought as time went by that it would be gone forever. But somehow the life is being back, instilled back into it. It won't be like it was then, but it'll certainly bring back a lot of memories and appreciation for the things that happened during that time and what's making happen now.
You know, Benny, you got to see Harlem at a time when you saw the civil rights,
Oh yeah.
the religious aspect of this city, the musical part, the clothing, and also the black arts movement. I'm talking about the writers.
Yeah, that's true. Langston Hughes. Langston used to show up. He and Randy Weston had a close relationship, but he'd always be at the club. You always saw Langston. You remember him, the writer Langston?
I've read all his stuff. He's one of my heroes.
A short, stout fellow. He was always on the scene, Langston. Yeah. Yeah, there were many who were not musicians and appreciated it from their point of view, whatever it was. Actors, writers, whatever. Producers of this and that. Yeah. You know, but it's all creative. And the thing that's essential on anything, concerning anything that's creative, you must have imagination. Because as a musician in particular, when we come and we are part of the jam session, and when we improvise, we're creating things that had no existence before we did what we do. So it's like giving birth to things. So that's what it's like, you know. And it's like a safari, but we're not hunting live game. We're hunting new concepts, extrapolations, new ways to do the old things, which sometimes is just important as the new things. When you take the old thing and you make something new out of it, that takes creativity too. So if you embark upon something like jazz and improvisation, if you don't have the comprehension, if you don't have the imagination, you don't know how to create things that had no creation before. So you're at a loss. And for that reason, some who wanted to play badly never made it. I know 3 in my lifetime that wanted to play badly. They just didn't have the comprehension. And it's sad. That doesn't happen very much. But it can happen. You want to do something so bad, but you don't have the understanding. You don't have the comprehensibility. And it's sad. And it's like a person falling overboard and the ship sails over the horizon without them. That's sad.
Benny, this is my last question, and I know you gotta go. What does Harlem mean to you?
Harlem means to me, when I first came to Harlem, it was all black. Now, things have changed a lot. Years later, I came back, and I got a place up at 129th and Lenox. First person into the apartment, into the building. The building was about 75% white. Now, when I came to Harlem, I thought Harlem would be black forever. And you see ladies walking down 125th Street, white ladies with the baby carriages and the children. I never thought I'd see that. When I came to Harlem, every Christmas on 125th Street, it was a department store there, a black department store. I can't remember. It was in the same block as the Apollo Theater. I can't remember the name of it. But every year they had a black Santa Claus. And I was a kid and I was wondering, how did Santa Claus become black? Yeah, but now things have changed. And I contend, and I tell some of my audiences, if everybody on this earth, everybody was a jazz fan, we'd have no more wars. Can you imagine being a part of the jazz community, listening and sharing this music, and then getting up and go out with a gun and kill somebody you've never seen before? If everybody loved jazz, that would be the end of wars. And I said that, look, I played Czechoslovakia, and the president of Czechoslovakia was a fan. And he gave me flowers when the concert was over, and he had his whole cabinet there on the first row. Emails for a while. He's no longer the president now. Ambassadors and things like that. Yeah. If jazz were implanted all over the world, that would be the end of these wars and guns and bombs and stuff. Can you imagine any of us here in this room killing somebody over something? No, it's incredible. I love it. I'm privileged to have been a part of it. And I say the past tense only because so much of it is behind me. The youngsters have their future in front of them. Mine is behind me because of my age and the length of time. But it wasn't wasted time. I enjoyed doing what I'm doing. And I'm privileged to still be able to do it because of the nature of what I'm doing. At this age, there are no 89-year-old quarterbacks playing, but there are 89-year-old saxophone players still playing. You know, it's that way.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report, reporting live here at the famous Minton's Playhouse here in Harlem, New York. I'd like to personally thank the incomparable Benny Golson for his time. I'd like to personally thank Antonio and his wife for arranging my time here at Minton's and with Mr. Golson. Also the staff and management here at Minton's for their warm hospitality. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.